Okay.
Oh, good.
Live on YouTube channel.
Live on YouTube channel. From not the most exotic location in the world, because it's been a rainy, cold, stormy evening, and we've had a few nights on the trail. So we're inside in the lobby of a little motel. You can see the little flags behind us. The Kurdish flag and European Union for some reason. But anyway, it's lovely to speak to you from the trail. I'm here with Laween.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 days so far of trail work. So, Laween, what do you remember of what we've done so far?
Hello, everybody. I think we had really 3 days of an amazing experience of coming back to our trails. It was a pleasure, really. We were really glad to be back, to improve our trails, to be back on our path, and to meet our friends, our local guiders, check our guest houses, and exploring new trails as we did yesterday and today. Finding our old friends was great. Meeting our local partners, maybe we can talk in details later.
Sure.
Each one, how was his situation, and in general, it was really great to be back in our trails and see our old friends.
Yeah, I think we're both pretty over the moon about it, because we've had, as with everyone, so many months of this strange and difficult and challenging year. And I've been locked down in the UK, and Laween has been mostly in Erbil.
Yeah.
So to be out and to have the freedom of walking is really something special and a real privilege for us. But more importantly is to talk about the trail and our friends along the trail. As a quick recap, Laween and I have been working on creating this trail with the Abraham Path Initiative that will run eventually from a town called Acre all the way across the north of the Kurdistan region of Iraq to end in Shoman. And it'll be 175, 200 kilometers, something like this. So last year we were able to do a lot of work, a little bit at the start of this year before everything changed. And now, after all these months, we've gone back to revisit our friends. And Laween, how does it feel, firstly, to have come out of the city with everything that's gone with us, and to have freedom?
Being indoor for 9 months and then suddenly go to mountain, back to trails, back to hiking, back to walking. It was really great. I cannot describe my feeling. Maybe you saw the first day, I was like speechless.
Yeah.
After 9 months or 10 months indoor, we were not able even to go to the next district and see yourself after on the top of the mountains and our trails that we had been working on 2 or 3 years ago. So it was really, I couldn't describe my feeling that time. Meeting the friends that we never met in 1 year, to see each one how was his situation in coronavirus. And the most important thing, to tell people that API is still there, because they miss API. People really, they were asking, they were calling local partners and companies and villagers that we were staying there, our guest houses. The owner of the guest house, they were calling, they were just asking, where is API? They know the situation, but they were asking. So they were really glad to see, and we were glad to prove to them that API is back again on trail, and feel freedom on the mountains, to feel to see the life that, to see if the nature were really better than before. I think that after lockdown, after these 7 months or 6 months, the nature were really better. It was cleaner and it was better.
Yeah, and we certainly appreciated it more, I think. And that's something we've heard a lot from our colleagues and stakeholders along the way. I came back to Erbil about a week ago and met with Laween, and in preparation for this trip, we've set up all of these meetings. Also, we had to be one of the things we wanted to do was to learn from everyone how the coronavirus has impacted their lives, their work, their communities. And so we got our own COVID-19 tests, and once we were negative, we've kind of formed our own bubble here that's with Laween and myself and Emily Garthwaite, another API fellow who's also with us. And then we've been meeting with people as close as appropriate and speaking with them. And the first person that we met was our friend Sadiq, who's been our guide for a couple of years now in Acre. And Sadiq's been a shepherd for most of his life, lived in the hills, and never been sick as far as he can remember since he was a child. He never gets sick. He's a tough guy. And he got the coronavirus. And he said that he had it initially he had a terrible fever, a really, really bad fever, worse than he'd ever had. And it was so bad that each night he rode his motorcycle at midnight to a special spring close to the town, and he dove into the spring fully clothed at midnight, 3 nights in a row. And he was healed from coronavirus in 5 days.
In 4 days, actually.
4 days.
4 or 5 days, yeah, I recovered from coronavirus. And he felt that it was strange for me that he never been sick in his life. And suddenly he found himself, like, he said that first time in my life, I feel that I cannot stand or I cannot move. Yeah. So at midnight, he was going to the yellow spring and dove inside the
And this spring is said to have healing powers. So I'm not necessarily recommending that as a universal method for curing coronavirus, but it was very interesting. I mean, in general, what we've heard is that the virus was really widespread in the cities. In some of the towns, it became similarly so. But then in a lot of the villages, they haven't seen very much of it at all. The village we were in today with our guide and friend Jawad, they had no cases. And in fact, they said their lives hadn't been really that impacted by it at all, which is pretty strange and wonderful to think about, that there is at least some pocket, some corner of the world where people have not been too terribly impacted by this. So that's part of our work. We'll keep updating you on that. The other part is simply to see the trails. And as Laween was saying, the wonderful thing about trails, especially these old paths that are thousands of years old that we are reimagining as we develop this trail, is that they don't change. They've been here for millennia and they pay no heed to the coronavirus. So we're here at a nice time of year in the fall, in the autumn, and so the leaves are on the turn. It's not quite the snow hasn't quite come yet, and it's really beautiful. We've had a stunning night of camping by the Great Zab River with our friend Anwar, and 2 beautiful days of walking. The last 2 days have just been spectacular, coming up over the mountains from one long valley into another, climbing up and over a high pass. And it's a brand new route for us. Really the best part of the year to work out the best way across this particular mountain. And I think the last couple of days we've got it.
Yeah, we did a great job. I think 16 kilometers per day,
something like this.
Yeah, it was really great. This part of the trail was really hard last 2 years. Mm-hmm. We tried a lot, and finally, fortunately, we could find this connection. It needs some more work to tomorrow or day after tomorrow, but we did a great job.
Yeah, and we have some questions. So, firstly, thank you to everyone who's writing. It's nice to see many friends, Oliver and Josh. And
William and
oh yes, and we've got many people from API, and he said Ben, Josh, William, all of you. Well, hello to all of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we feel like you're with us here in spirit. And we do. I mean, it's worth just re-emphasizing how fortunate we feel to be out here, because it's such a privilege to be out in these hills at this time. Yeah, the trail the last couple of days, it's the layers of history and heritage here are almost beyond belief, except that when you're here, you have to believe them because they're right in front of your eyes. So a trail like the one that we walked yesterday and today, there are so many stories. There are so many different eras and epochs of history that we'll talk through about our guide. And this is all something that I hope you'll be able to share with us and join with us at some point.
Regarding this question, do they serve you a coffee or tea? First day we try to, we were camping and we try to not go to the guest house to be for their safety and for our safety. But second day we went to Jawad village, which is 100% completely clean, and they have no even one single coronavirus cases in the village. So we were we served by tea and dinner as well.
Yeah, and in general, I mean, the greater fear is not necessarily that we will catch the virus from the people we're with, but rather that we might bring it from the cities and from our other lives, which is why we were tested and made sure that at each point of this journey we've been thoroughly responsible, and so when it's wonderful when we feel that it's safe to be able to accept the offer of a cup of tea. Oliver has asked us how are people in the Kurdish region doing. It's a very good question. People are as hospitable and welcoming to us as ever. Things have been hard. This actually ties in. I see that Lionel, hi Lionel, lovely to hear from you. Lionel has asked us about the region's economy and how it's been impacted by the coronavirus. I'll say a little something first, and then Laween, you can join in because you've been here. But what we know is that Iraq in general has been hit very, very hard by this. So all of the investments in southern Iraq have stopped. The federal budget has been severely hit. There's been trouble paying the wages of federal employees. Many people are having to use their savings. They've been telling us to make it through this time. And as with much of the world, they're hoping for something miraculous to happen in the next few months, a vaccine and a recovery. But the economy in Iraq, particularly in the Kurdish region, as we've been experiencing it, has been hit extremely badly by the lockdown and the knock-on effects.
Yeah, it was normally the government, the Iraqi central government, sending 17% of their budget to KRG, to Kurdistan region government. But recently they cut it. So the salary had been cut of the employees, and unemployed people who were as taxi drivers, worker at the hotel, and the daily workers, they have been stopped because of the lockdown. So both the employed and really affected by coronavirus. Yesterday when we were in Jawad, 3 of his brothers, one is taxi driver, one has his sales fish, and the third is a teacher. All of them lost their job because of coronavirus. And this is just a small example in one family in Kurdistan. So normally, in general, the economy has been affected, by coronavirus, and even some political troubles between the central government and KRG, Kurdistan region government, also affected the salaries of the employees. So the situation is, we cannot say this in the best situation.
Sure. And we've seen some initiatives, government-sponsored and local regionally sponsored initiatives to try and offset this somewhat. In the Barzan area, we were with our colleague Anwar Safti, and he said that every 2 or 3 months, those families who have been made redundant or have lost income due to the coronavirus can go to the local bank and will be given a small amount of money to try and help them through the next few months. There's a similar food bank scenario that will hand out basic supplies to families who are really struggling. But in general, as Laween said, it's a really tough time here, as one might expect. Anis has asked a question that ties in very nicely, and we spent most of last night discussing this. So Anis's question for us is, are the kids going to school? And if not, is there enough tech at home to carry on education remotely? So Laween, how did we spend last night?
We spent almost 2 hours discussing with the kids who are 4 different grades at school, secondary, primary, and first grade school. So the school they were really sad that the school are closed for almost 1 year.
Most of them were really sad. One wasn't.
One wasn't. One said, yeah. One of them said, "I don't care if it's open or not," but the rest were really sad. The schools are closed for almost a year. They just opened it in the first till the 10th of October as a test. They opened by the new season, the new education season. They opened from 1st till the 10th of October, but they found many cases of coronavirus inside the school between the students, so they closed it. They closed them again. And the plan is to open them in the 1st of January 2021. This is the plan. If everything was fine and they can find the vaccine arrive Kurdistan, they will open them. Otherwise, they will use the online system, and which is really hard because the villages that we yesterday we were talking about online system, they don't have internet at all. We were forced to go outside just to connect to correct 3G, not 4G, just to 3G. And I think it will be really difficult to use maybe inside Erbil. Yeah, some big schools like Chuifat and the biggest Oxford have some schools they can easily, and even the mentality of the kids are different from the villagers. The villagers, I think um, they cannot deal with this online system.
Yeah, it's something that's completely new. So these are always there's always the scales that are balanced or weighted one way or the other, and in the cities, the coronavirus has hit much harder, both in terms of the very immediate impact that most people have had it and recovered. Laween, you've had coronavirus,
yeah,
and you're
recovered and
recovered, but most people in the city have had it at some point, right?
Most of them, like 80% of the community had got coronavirus, but like say 75% of 95% of them recovered really fast in 14 days. That is the standard days of 5 days of the fever, and really hard that you out of your energy, you cannot move, you will feel fever and cold and heat and cold, and then the rest is just you feel yourself recovering. So most of the cases that I know, at least my friends, my families, they went through this process, 14 days, and then vitamin C or some zinc or something like that, and they recovered. This is the general situation of coronavirus in Erbil or in Kurdistan.
So for the kids who are in cities, they have a much higher chance of either catching the virus or their parents and friends it, but they will probably have access to the means for online education, whereas those in the villages are much safer from the virus, but they don't have the facilities necessary in order to continue their education. And Josh has asked a good question, which is, what do they do when they're not in school? So we were trying to find this out last night, and there was a few different answers.
Just playing in the video games.
Playing video games on their parents' mobile phones, cell phones.
Playing with colleagues outside, football.
Yeah, and this was actually what was more popular. Some of the kids like to sit inside and play on cell phones and this kind of thing, but they said for the most part, what they like to do is to be outside and to play with their friends, which is pretty universal to kids all over the world. But they were definitely bored. They missed education, they missed learning, they missed their teachers, they missed, I guess, the challenge of it, and they missed the routine as well.
So let me just say thank you, Oliver. I'm really glad to know you well, and that you are with us, joining us our live stream. Thank you so much. Then how is the weather since we are turning winter?
Well, as you can probably tell from the fact that we're inside, it's raining and cold. Today was actually very nice. Yesterday was beautiful. We are, I'm afraid there's certain things we can translate into kind of universal scope for everyone, but temperatures are the one thing I'm terrible at converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So it's been about 20 to 25 Celsius during the day. So those of you in North America can
you'll
have to figure that out for yourselves, I'm afraid. And it goes down to about 6 or 7 degrees at night, which when we were in our tent was
do you remember during the day I was telling you that I'm preparing a story on Instagram or Facebook how many times I changed, how many shapes during today I changed 5 times. It was really hot. Every morning was really cold, extremely cold. With we covered with we covered just have our eyes on because it was really cold when we started the early morning. Then when we reached the top, it became heat, so we had only one t-shirt, one shirt. Then raining, and then again hot, and in the evening, and again hot. So the weather is hot, cold, raining, hot, cold. But yesterday, as you said, it was really amazing weather. We enjoyed hiking and yesterday.
It was lovely, yeah. And when the weather changes a lot, I feel at home because this is what we have in Ireland all the time. Yeah. In Ireland, they say if you don't like the weather, you should wait 20 minutes or move 20 miles, and you'll find something that you prefer. So it's a little bit like that at the moment. Anissa has asked where we are exactly right now. Well, I mean, exactly, we are in the lobby of this, well, we're in a corner of a restaurant, which is beside a little motel. We are, we're not saying exactly where we are, not because we don't trust you all, but just because we always feel it's a little bit safer to not say our exact location. But we are moving in that corridor between Accra and Showman. And we've been in the Barzan Valley the last couple of days. That's where we've been doing most of our walking, which has been spectacular. Gosh, well, firstly, thank you so much for sending all of these questions. It's really nice to feel connected to you all from such a distance. Susan, lovely to see your message, and thank you for sending that. That's very kind. And Josh has asked if there's no football. I wonder if that's
with the kids.
With the kids, yeah. The kids played a little
bit.
They played.
They said that either playing mobile games or we are going outside to play football with kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will wrap up pretty soon, but just to say that we're gathering a lot of information about our colleagues along the trail. We'll share with you, if you follow Laween and I on various forms of social media, you'll see some of the stories and bits and pieces as they pop up, and I'm sure some of them will be reposted on the Abraham Path Initiative pages as well. We're going to be out just for a couple more days. On this, and then we'll be back in Erbil for a few days, and then we've got a couple more days work out in the east, hopefully to add a little bit of an extension to the trail in actually in the west side. And I think it's a nice way to finish is to say that we've been really touched by how much everyone has missed, not just us and Laween. I mean, of course, everyone misses Laween, but not just how much they've missed us personally, but how much they've really missed what our presence represents, that this is something that people really believe in, and the stakeholders who have been involved in the process along the trail really think that this idea is something they want to put a lot of their time and efforts into, and so they've been waiting for us to come back, and I think that's why they've bought into this idea. They've invested heavily in it as well, and I'm really excited to see where it can go, and I hope that this is we know that this is just the first few steps on the trail, let's say, metaphorically, but then there's a long way to go, but we are lucky to be part of something really special here.
Yeah. If you remember 5 months ago when we were talking in video call and you were in lockdown in London or Ireland, and I was in lockdown, and we were just saying that we don't know, maybe can we be on trail again, can we go hiking again together, because the situation was really unclear, it was really dark, nobody knows, but fortunately we could make it, and we are on working on the trails again, and really glad and amazing 3 days. Maybe in 7-8 months I couldn't feel such a relief or such a inner feeling to be in the mountains and to go through our trails. And really, and I hope that we will be able to continue it.
Yeah, yeah, and Anis has asked, are there any other visitors? I do think the visitors. There's a couple of people eating and drinking tea in the restaurant, and yeah, I mean, the amazing thing is that when you're inside a building anywhere in the Kurdistan region, you're never far from some noise and some people watching TV or listening to something on their phone. So sorry if it's a little bit noisy for you all. But thanks for tuning in, and thank you for all the messages. And we'll stay safe, we'll walk well, we'll keep speaking to the important people along the trail, and we'll keep you updated.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and stay safe, and we will keep you posted. We'll next days about our trails, API trails in Kurdistan region of Iraq.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.